Good morning. Today what we are going to talk about is the next step in our writing process of our advantage disadvantage paper. So before the long weekend, everyone had sent me their fishbone with their 3 advantages and their 3 disadvantages. Where we're at now, I have responded, I have approved your advantages and disadvantages. So right now you have a couple different options as far as how you want to proceed. Some of you might already right now say, these are my 2 really strong advantages, these are my really strong disadvantages, and then go and move on to the next step. Others of you might want to do a little research and figure out which ones are going to work better as far as your advantages, finding that evidence. So it's really up to you how you want to go about doing that. This is going to be a little bit of a review because this is something that we have talked about before. But I just kind of want to go over it as far as a refresher for you all. So when we have our advantages and our disadvantages, we now need to go and find evidence for them. We need to find the support to back up those reasons, to give our audience that balanced viewpoint. So those support can come in 3 different forms. Facts, statements that can be proven true. These are going to be your statistics, your research that has been done. Expert opinions, these are going to be specific quotes, so us using the exact words of people with expert knowledge in their field. So not just asking my friend because they played a particular sport, that would not be an expert opinion, but asking a coach or somebody who has made their life's work in whatever topic you are researching. And then we have the anecdotes and the examples. These are going to be instances or brief stories that illustrate your point. So this is where I could use my friend as an example to help me prove the point of why that particular sport is the best sport. These cannot be from your own life because we are providing a balanced viewpoint. So we can't use ourselves as anecdotes in this situation. Also, when we have anecdotes, whether we are talking to our parents or friends or other family members, we want to make sure that it really illustrates the point and really supports my reason. In the past, when we did the persuasive, some of your evidence was just basically saying your reason again. So if my reason is that basketball supports teamwork, having my friend say that, well, when I played basketball, I really learned teamwork. That is just restating your reason. It's not proving the point. So make sure that they elaborate upon that. Just like when we filled in the concept map for the persuasive essay, which the concept map is going to look very similar, it's the exact same thing, you just have to do 2 of them because you have the advantage and the disadvantage side. Each reason will be supported by a fact, expert opinion, or anecdote. After we have that evidence for each reason, then each of those then need to be elaborated upon. So I could find another fact, another expert opinion, or another anecdote, just to really drive home the fact of that there's evidence out there that are reasons that we have come up with. There's evidence and elaboration to support those. One reason should not be supported by 2 anecdotes. So if I have an anecdote for my evidence, I should not also have an anecdote for my elaboration. I should have a fact and then I could back it up with an anecdote, or an expert opinion and then an anecdote, or an anecdote supported by elaborated upon with a fact. So how do we find that support? Asking friends and family members for examples in their own life, finding articles, websites, using those online resources, looking in magazines and newspapers. What we want to also make sure is that it's updated information. So a study that was done 10 or 15 years ago isn't the most accurate information. Your website information really needs to be from the past few years so that we really can make sure that we have the most accurate research, something that we always are striving to do. And either interviewing experts, finding articles that have experts in them are quoted would also work for your expert opinions. And then we have to, as we are working on this, we are going to have a works cited page that is a continuous document for that we will be able to reference, because this is something we have to turn in so that our information is validated and it's not plagiarized. We have discussed this in class, how to do an MLA citation page, a works cited page, but I have provided this YouTube link here if you need to go on and kind of have a refresher about how to find that information. There are a few changes from what we have previously discussed as far as a little bit of the formatting, but I want you to just follow her example. Just the reason I taught you just a little differently as far as some of the information was because it was our first time, and this is kind of moving forward. There's just a couple little minor changes. As opposed to unknown, you put NP, meaning not published. That is completely fine. Putting the media, so it's from the website, so we put web on there, and then that full URL. So watch that video if you need help with that. So the next part is not going to be due until Friday, April 24th. So each day you should work on this just a little bit so that it doesn't all come crashing down on you right at the last minute there, just like we would in class. Every class period we would kind of reconvene, have any questions, and then work on our concept map. So that's what you're going to do the next couple of weeks here. So using the provided concept map, and here's a couple different options for you. I am going to post a link to a picture of the concept map. So if you have a printer at home, you can print 2 copies of these. One would be for your advantages and one would be for your disadvantages. And then write your information just like we did in class for the persuasive paper. If you do it this way, make sure it is done neatly and so that I can read it, because you will have to take a picture of it. So if it's a lot of like scribbles or if it's really light, I'm not going to be able to read it. So if that's a way that you choose to do it, make sure I can read it. The other would be to create your own concept map in Google Docs, whether you draw kind of like circles and then write in your information, whether you create kind of like a list of your reasons and then just type out support and then your information and elaboration and evidence. That's another option. Or using the provided concept map and then using an app like DocHub or Kami. It's spelled Kami, and basically this makes your document a editable document. Basically, I can go back in and I can write on it, I can type on it. So either of those would work. Those are just a few options of what you can do. So we will talk more about this in class when we have our Zoom meeting, but that's if you need to go and use this video as a reference to take some notes, I will upload this into Google Classroom.